Howdy neighbors, welcome back to the Noya Mountain Music Teaching Channel. I want to give you just a little heads up on what this video is about. It's the Monroe Style Jamming Workshop. We've been doing a Monroe Style Zoom workshop since COVID. I co-host them with Johnson Mountain Boys Hall of Famer David McLaughlin, the cleanest of all the Monroe Style players. And this session features Rainey Miatke, and she's from the Northwest. And I had seen a video that she had posted about the Julian fiddle camp that she was going to be teaching, and she posted that, and I was like, wow, she's a great, player, and would be interested in getting her, learning more about her. And then I just randomly saw her playing the Golden West, which was our instrumental selection for this particular workshop. So Synchronicity of the Universe. Asked her if she would do the workshop, and she said yes. And then I was just coming through Asheville kind of randomly on the way to East Tennessee, and had another student there. And so we ended up doing the workshop on front porch, picking in person, which is a little bit unusual for the workshop. So anyway, that is the premise for this workshop. Unfortunately, the video quality isn't super HD. A good lesson learned for that one. I figured out how to get the video quality settings bumped up. So for future workshops, they'll be a little bit more high quality. So the flow at the workshops is I send out a bunch of study material, note for note sometimes, improv videos, demonstrations from David, demo practice tracks, etc. And then the folks who are signed up for full registration, they get a half-hour lesson with me one-on-one, and then we get to the workshop, and Dave and I teach a little bit. Oftentimes we have a special guest, and then all the students are invited to play and receive, constructive feedback. So that is the premise of the workshop. We've been doing it for a long time. Wyatt's been in about 100 of them. There's kind of a core group, and then people kind of come in and out. And so at the end of 12 weeks of the workshop, I compile all the study material, and all of that is available for all the 10 or 11 courses that we've done since the beginning of COVID, basically. You can get all that study material, and that's what the Monroe Style courses are about, the 12-week courses at noyamountainmusic.com. You can check that out if you like. And if you would like to support the channel, support this work, would invite you to, like the video, subscribe, and consider becoming a Noya Mountain Music patron at patreon.com/Noya Mountain Music. And thanks a lot for all the Noya Mountain Music Patreon supporters that are making this work possible. I hope you enjoy the Monroe Style Workshop featuring Rainey Miatke. So our special surprise is that here's Rainey.
Hey!
Yay, she's right here because she lives in Asheville too. So she just rolled up. She's got a gig to go to at like a little after 7.
Yes.
So feel free to make yourself at home. And this is B.
Hey!
And here's another surprise. Here's B. So B lives in Asheville. Rainey lives in Asheville, and I'm coming through Asheville. And so we're doing the workshop here because of all that. And I was hoping that they could get to know each other. And anyway, so let's see here. Rainey, why don't you so give me a second while we figure all this out here. Rainey, why don't you sit here, and I'll kind of saddle up over here. So, okay. All right. There we go. So, she's getting tuned up here, and maybe I can talk to her while she's tuning up. How long have you been in Asheville?
I've been here for like 3 years now. I'm going to school here, so I'm in my 3rd year. My mom's family's from North Carolina, though, so I grew up coming out here.
Because you're from the Northwest originally,
From Oregon,
right?
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you still got family in Carolina?
I do. I have an aunt in Asheville and then family in Charlotte, so it feels like kind of a home away from home, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So I was very surprised to see that video of you playing the Golden West pop up. I was telling everybody I'd seen that video you were posting. You're playing the camp out in California. Is that the Julian Fiddle Camp?
No, I grew up going to the Shasta, the Shasta String Summit out there. From when I was like maybe 9 or 10, I started going. I've never been to Julian, but I have friends who teach there. So.
Okay, but you were advertising a camp that you were teaching somewhere, right?
Oh, the West Marin camp is where I'm
teaching.
teaching. Yeah, I'm teaching at Big Sur Fiddle Camp this summer and West Marin camp.
Okay, cool. And I seen you do the advertisement for that, and you played. I was like, wow, she is really good. And then this video popped up of you playing the Golden West when you were very young.
Yeah.
Like 9 or 10?
Yeah, probably like 10-ish.
And playing the tune very well. And so I thought it was, oh, here comes, sorry. Oh, yeah, no worries. So the tune itself is like just even amongst the people that are like Monroe kind of nuts. It's a little bit of a rare tune.
Yeah.
How did you come to like know it and learn it and all that?
Yeah. So I actually learned it from Tom Rosen.
Okay.
Because Lori Lewis and the Right Hands do a version of it that's really good. It's a little different than the Monroe version, but it's an awesome version. And so that's where I originally learned it when I was maybe like around that age. Like I'd probably just learned it when that video.
Yeah. I was like, this is so unusual for anyone to play this tune, much less someone that's not even in double digits. How old were you? Were you 10?
Probably about 10. That's
okay,
I don't really remember. That's my guess based on kind of like that. Around that time is when I was starting to learn tunes like that. And so I don't think I would have come to it if it weren't for Tom. And then I kind of went back later and looked more at the Monroe version because I had really just heard him play it. So yeah.
Well, tell us about your mandolin.
So this is not my mandolin. I am actually in the market for a mandolin right now because I've been playing the same mandolin since I was about 10, and it's just not. There's some things that are kind of wrong with it, and so I'm borrowing my friend's Brentrup mandolin, and it's beautiful, and I love it. It actually sounds so good.
Is he a Carolina luthier or?
No, he was. I think he recently passed, but he was in, I believe, Minnesota, and he was building just by hand. And I think he was like relatively well known within like very niche sort of luthery circles. But he tried to model like the tone off of Lore's, and it sounds really good.
Yeah. Well, you want to play something? Just anything you like. I mean, I can get the guitar back up on something.
Do you want me to play the Golden West?
Yeah.
We could do that.
Let me get this. So, is your family like musical? Did you come from?
Yeah. My dad really loves bluegrass, and he plays a little bit of guitar, and my sister actually, I'm the youngest, but my older sister plays fiddle and sings, and so we grew up playing together, and that kind of sort of like got me on the track that I'm on.
So it was a family band. What was it called?
We were called Rainey and the Rattlesnakes. It was our family band.
Great. Take that.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how I started, and then just.
That's a good bluegrass name.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Let's just play the Golden West.
Sure. All right.
Am I pretty close with you?
Maybe I can tune to you too if you want.
That'd be cool. Josh put on the chat there, you need to keep that mandolin.
I know. You know, it's tough because he wants to sell it, but I took it to my luthier friend, and he says that there's some issues with it, and so I don't know if I can afford the repairs and to buy it, and so I'm kind of like,
oh, cheapers. It's got the sound.
It sounds good, right?
No, it sounds fantastic.
I know. I'm trying to figure out what to do.
Yeah, and so y'all probably were able to hear how good it was, and like just
it sounds pretty awesome through these little iPad speakers.
Yeah, and to be in person hearing it, like she plays with a lot of power, and a lot of that's probably coming through, but she just
Your playing is awesome, by the way. That's really, really good.
Thank you.
Really good, very tasteful, very tasteful interpretation of a Monroe tune.
Oh gosh, so
Thank
good.
you.
Rainey, have you met David before?
I never have. No.
This is David McLaughlin.
It's so good to
He's
meet
on
you.
that Hollywood Square there.
You're great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's so sweet.
And I feel like you had, just a brilliant, interpretation of the tune. It's spot on. You weren't doing anything like weird or like, but you're doing it your way, and like not because you can get right off the melody. But there's a way of like playing the melody that it's not like you play the same way every time. It's little variations, but just to keep the life in it.
Yeah, you do some awesome rhythmic stuff.
Thank you.
In your lead work, you did some really cool syncopated rhythmic stuff. That would have been Monroe approved, by the way. That was really good.
Yeah.
I think that's where that kind of comes from for me. It's funny, like growing up, Monroe wasn't like my biggest mandolin hero.
Who was your big hero?
John Reichman, I think, was like my just my all time. Oh my gosh, because I think it was just his tone, and I got to play with him a couple times at camps and take a few lessons from him.
Great teacher.
So I always went for that like clean tone, but then as I kind of got into Monroe, I think Mike Compton originally like taught me some Monroe tunes at a camp, and I kind of fell in love with his style too, and so I like to sort of take pieces, and what I like is his drive and his power, and then that rhythmic stuff that you were talking about, like in there, I really like to use that too, and so. Yeah,
well, I love that. I can, on that tune, I was hearing, more of the power side of things come out, and you play with a lot of like force with your right hand, not excessively though, in a real nice way. So like when you were getting started, like learning how to improvise, what do you feel like were a couple of the things that kind of helped you level up from beginner to intermediate and then to kind of find your own style?
Honestly, I mean, y'all probably already like. I don't know that I have anything revolutionary to say, but something that I just did over and over again was learning other people's solos and licks. Like as much as I could, if I heard
some note stuff.
Yeah, I would do a lot of my own like transcribing because I don't read much music. I mostly learn by ear. Or I do really slowly. So so by ear I would just kind of pick out somebody's solo, and I did a lot of that to the point that I started to develop more of an understanding for how a good solo or how a solo that I liked might be put together. And kind of, I think a big step for me was, because I started out improvising through like scales and kind of thinking about scales and where like how a tune would be centered based on a scale. And I think when I started to move into thinking about it based on the chord structure, that was huge for me, especially as like a beginning mandolin player starting to move into more of an intermediate stage. I think it leveled up my improv because suddenly I could play, like I could change what I was playing based on each chord center, almost like you would in jazz, but on a way more basic sort of level. And so that helped me a lot.
Were there any tunes that were like especially pivotal in that way?
That's such a good question. I think I just took it and applied it to as many tunes as I could. I learned a lot of Reichman tunes growing up, and like starting with like his Salt Spring and his classics. It's Been Real.
Let's hear one of those. Let's do one of those.
Since
we're live in person, we want to do a little bit more picking than we do usually.
Let's see.
Salt Spring, I don't know too many of them. I do know Salt Spring-ish.
Okay, it's been a while since I played it, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
hope I didn't butcher the chords too much.
No, I think you got him.
Couldn't hear the claps coming in, but I saw them.
That was amazing. That's one of my favorite tunes. Everybody, I'm very involved in the old time music jam community around here. That's often played, but not like that. That was mind-blowingly good. Wow, you are so good.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, and so like
sweet. I am. No, but
he's a sweet guy. He keeps us on our toes. So like around Asheville, are you playing in a band?
Yeah, well, they're back in Oregon. I left them in Oregon. But I mean, when I go home, I still play with my sister for sure. And but out here, so I go to Warren Wilson College, which is out in Swannanoa. It's not far from here.
And are you studying forestry? You were talking about working in the forest.
No, it's Warren Wilson is actually a work college, so every student on campus is required to have a job on campus, and so it's very student run. So it has a working farm with like cattle and a garden and a forestry crew. So students will get into like jobs that they might not normally have. So that's how I got into my forestry job, just kind of random. But I'm majoring in music and expressive arts therapy, so like music therapy kind of stuff.
Very cool.
And yeah, so I play in some ensembles there. Like there's the Bluegrass Ensemble. I don't know if you know Ben Krakauer.
Not sure.
He's a great banjo player, and he's the music director there. And so I played an ensemble there, and then my friends and I from there will kind of like get together and play gigs. Like we have one tonight at Jack of the Wood in
Jack
town.
of the Wood. Yeah, I was asking where y'all were playing.
Yeah,
cool.
and then I'll get gigs as my favorite thing is to be a sideman and just play. So I actually just got to play with Sister Sadie.
Well, I would be happy to hire you to if I ever have another gig, I will definitely.
Oh my gosh, please! Yeah.
You did give Sister Sadie.
I just played with them actually on the Opry.
I saw you did that. Like, yeah, that's a nice lick.
Thank you. It was a lifelong dream, and so I have a couple gigs with them coming up too, which is
super cool.
So yeah, just where I can get them, you know.
And that's like Deanie and
it's
Richardson.
Danny Flowers is one of the
she's so good.
Lead singers, and Jay Lee Roberts and Maddie Dalton plays bass with them.
Okay.
And then Gina Britt plays banjo.
Yeah. Stock crew if you haven't checked out Sister Sadie. And then do you have some recordings?
I haven't. I've recorded on other people's albums, but I haven't made my own. That's kind of like something I want to start doing in the next maybe couple years.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't have any of my own stuff released now.
But you do write some tunes or songs?
I write some tunes. Yeah, I write songs too, kind of separate. Like I have little projects, but I write some mandolin tunes.
Would you care to share one of your mandolin tunes?
I could, yeah.
Yeah, please do. And if y'all have any questions for Rainey, feel free to raise your hand, put them in the chat, all that kind of stuff.
You said you're now living in the Asheville area?
I am. Yes. Yeah. Okay. I'm for now. I've thought about eventually moving to Nashville, but while I'm in school here, I'm kind of here for the summer. I might be traveling around. But yeah, I'm in Asheville.
In that area. I have a lot of family relatives in that area. My mother was born in Hendersonville. Moved to Charlotte. My grandparents moved to Charlotte. My grandfather worked for the Standard Oil Company, but I do have a nephew who lives in Asheville now.
Oh, sweet.
He actually is a brewer at Sierra Nevada.
Okay. Yeah. I think breweries are a big thing here. Yeah, I just turned 21, so I've been like starting to venture out into different scenes, but that's a huge scene here. It's such a great place. I kind of have fallen in love with this town.
Yeah. And are you now in Charlotte visiting Chris? Is that what it is?
No, I was passing through. I'm heading out to East Tennessee, and just when I was getting in the car, I was like, "Oh, Rainey, I think is in Asheville, and B's in Asheville. Why don't I just like see if we can all get together?" So totally serendipitous. Yeah.
Yeah. I want now. You have some videos and recordings online.
I'm trying to get better at that. Actually, when Deanie hired me for Sister Sadie, she said the only videos I could find of you were from when you were like 10 years old. So I have a Mandolin Mondays video but that's maybe 5 years old now, and I'm about to do another one, hopefully in the next like month. So I'm trying to get more stuff out there. I have an Instagram and Facebook, and then I'm trying to get more stuff on YouTube too. So
wow, you're just new and hot on the scene. Now I have to hear everything you do.
So let's hear a little bit about like how did you start to write tunes?
You know, it started, I think I just saw people around me writing tunes, and I thought it was so cool, and it was something that I wanted to do, and I think it just came from enough time spent just like messing around on the mandolin that maybe like a pattern would develop, and then I'd be like, oh, that's cool, and I just knew that writing tunes was the cool thing to do. So I kind of started to try to put chords to it and experiment with what chords can go where, because that, you know, it's so subjective, and it's kind of a fun process. And
when did you write your first tune? How old were you?
You know, I think that my first tune, I was probably about 11. It was a tune called The Crack of Dawn.
Nice.
And I made one album with my family band about around that time. And we actually, it was crazy. John Reichman was coming through my hometown to play a show, and my dad convinced him to come into the studio and play this tune with me on this record. So
what a good dad.
I know. He's the best. So that was my first ever tune, and then I kind of got exploratory from there. I think my next one I was learning how to play in 7/8 time, and I wrote like a tune in 7 that
off to the races.
Yeah.
Can we hear a little bit of Crack of Dawn before you do it?
Oh my gosh, it's been so long, but yeah, let's see. Bear in mind,
you're about ready to start writing some tunes.
Yeah. How old are you, B?
13.
Okay, sweet. That's sort of.
And I'm hoping y'all
time.
can make a little Asheville connection and maybe start picking a little bit together.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd be into that. I probably haven't played this since I was like 12, maybe. So let's see. Like went to C minor, and then back to. That's kind of the structure. It's been forever since I played it.
I dig it. That's a pretty notey tune for a young person to be playing. I wasn't playing that many notes when I was 11, but it's really cool. Now, like just before you go on to maybe share something that you a newer tune. How were you able to like develop your technical proficiency? Is there anything that you might share with kind of our folks to help you learn how to play fast and clean? That's kind of the thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. I think I've kind of like, this is something that I'm always working on it. I'm always trying to improve it. I think that one thing for me is like pick hold. Which changes a little bit based on like what the objective is. Like I'll kind of grip it a little tighter, and I try to angle. I use a blue chip. I use the CT. I use a couple other things too. I like some of the like Red Bear stuff. But this is mostly what I use, and so I try to angle it to get that sort of tone, like that sort of like
fatter, darker.
Yes, I like the like body of tone. But then if I'm playing faster, I find that a looser pick hold to where like my pick can kind of flop a little bit, and I try to let go of some of my standards for like clean tone if I'm playing at a fast pace, and then I kind of like let my pick move, and I might flatten it out a little bit because I think it kind of helps me move through the strings more. And then honestly just so much repetition and slow. Honestly, I think the way to play fast is to play slow. You know, to just play slow for as long as you can and as slow as you can, and then just I use metronome, but like just slowly inch up and up. And
did you play scales?
Yeah, I played scales and like patterns of thirds, like you know, stuff like that all over. especially in more closed positions, trying to get like my pinky proficiency.
Yeah.
And
these are good tips, neighbors. We talked about them a little bit, but you're hearing them again because they're important.
Just that repetition.
Here's my pinky.
Get pinky in the game.
I know it. Yeah. It actually it's fun to. Like, I'm not even, I'll use my third finger wherever I can, but I always try, like, if I'm going to try to stay in first position and I'm doing double stops over here, like, even on, like, the Golden West, you could do those double stops with your pinky, and trying to just sort of always take myself down a notch and try to see where I can, like, slow it down again and kind of do more repetitive stuff, and if there's something that's troubling me, just repeat it ad nauseum until I can't stand it, and just stuff. I mean, you know, stuff like that.
Repetition. There's kind of no escaping it.
That's the thing. Like, I wish I had an innovative tip, but I don't.
Well, it's like we kind of, it's kind of like life. It's like we hear the simple wisdom of how to be happy, and we just need to have the nice reminders to practice.
Yeah. Totally. It's sometimes just the simple stuff.
That's right. Yeah. Would you care to share one of your newer compositions?
Yeah, sure. My most recent tune, I've kind of started another, but it's not at the phase that I could play it.
No worries.
This is not on the more like fast and notey side, but I wrote a waltz recently for a friend of mine that I could play.
Yeah, please.
It's called Dunsmuir Station, which is a train station outside my hometown. And he wrote a tune for me, and so I felt like I had to write a tune for him. But I was also kind of starting to work on this, so I ended up just finishing it and writing it with him in mind. It's just it's very simple. It's in D.
So pretty.
Thanks.
That's such a beautiful tune.
The most recent thing, kind of.
Or clapping there. I feel like I can feel, you know, and it might just been since you mentioned his name, but I feel like I can hear some of Reichman's like wisdom that you have soaked in. And it's not like, it doesn't sound like a Reichman tune, but I feel like that sweet, rich, dynamic, just beautiful melody thing. Coming through there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love that tune.
That's so sweet. Yeah, one thing that I do love to do with, I don't know if y'all write tunes, but like just trying to see how I can like reharmonize sort of chords to a melody or not play the most obvious chords. And obviously I can't really do it here. I don't have a chord melody worked out for this, but on the B part, where at the end, where the chords that I like to play are like going to a like and then just lowering that bottom tone from the 6 minor, and then back to the 1, and then to like a 2 major, and then to the 4. So
you have like, you end up with like some kind of chromatic line in there?
Yeah,
right?
Starting from like the root in the 6 minor, and then just moving down chromatically to the 1 with a 5 in the bass, and then to a 2 chord.
That's pretty advanced composition right there.
So
now,
excuse me, what's a minor chord?
It's the sad ones. It's the sad ones.
Yes.
Oh, the sad chord.
The feelings.
The sad chords. So, is that stuff that you just could hear, or have you studied a bit of composition, or how do you do that? That's pretty advanced.
I think I haven't studied composition, but I think I could say that I have just through learning people's tunes. I think just trying to pay attention to like learning a tune and how somebody might put a chord in it that I didn't hear at first, or that if I just heard the melody I wouldn't have heard. And like with that last line, you can kind of hear that triad there, but then that could be like a 6 minor there, or a 4.
And what's that really kind of spicy chord in there?
That's the 2 chord, or which one?
It almost sounded like diminished.
Oh, this one, that triad.
Where it goes in up on the A string, that one.
It is kind of diminished.
Oh.
It would be like a flat.
It's a flat 7.
Flat 7. This is where I get lost a little bit.
Yeah, me too. I haven't analyzed my own tunes, but that is, I think, a diminished triad.
That's
with
really
a
nice.
B flat in the bass.
But I dig how you're kind of coming at it from a melodic standpoint. You're not like, oh, I'm going to put a little trick in here. It's like it's just like it's not diminished for the point of diminish, you're just following your melody.
Yes.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Totally.
That was like, yeah, that's just fantastic. Would you like to sing a song?
Oh my gosh.
I'd like to sing something with you.
I could sing a song. What kind of like? I do a little bit of lead singing, not a ton, but I could sing a song. What?
Something maybe I could sing along with you.
Like a duet?
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you know?
Here's the moment of truth.
Like, what good duets? Like East Virginia Blues?
Perfect.
Or like,
yeah, good selection.
Okay. I haven't sung that in a while. I don't know. Maybe. That might be too high. Maybe C. C is probably fine. I'll do my best with the lyrics. I don't really know.
No worries. I'll do my best to try to follow you.
Cool. Do you want me to or do you want to kick it off?
No, please go ahead. Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
and I can't wait it. And I have no wings to fly. I'm just scared to blue-eyed boat for to row me over the tide. I don't want your greenback dollar. I don't want your watch and chain. All I want is your heart, darling. Say you'll take me back again. Back to East Virginia, North Carolina ain't my home. I'll go back to East Virginia, leave you North Carolina. Yeah, that's great. You got a strong voice.
You got the lyrics there. I'm following along.
That's one I've been singing with my folks. Let's see.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That's
I'm not primarily a singer, but I love like duets like that
gosh,
because
your voice is wonderful.
Thanks.
So much power and yeah, just really enjoyed that a whole lot.
It's so fun.
Yeah, you're very fluid. Your playing is just like it just comes out of you like you're not even thinking or struggling whatsoever.
Thanks so much.
Not a bit,
I do struggle and think, but
Yeah, we all do. You give us the illusion that there's no work involved.
So what time's your gig start? You say 7:20?
Well, it's supposed to start at 7, but my band was like, no, don't go do this because it's a college ensemble. And my professor's like, no, you should do this. And so I'm going to get there like 15 minutes late. It's fine. It's like a 2.5-hour gig. So.
Okay. All right, cool. Well,
May I ask you how many hours a day would you say you play music or mess around with it? Not just with it in your hand, but in your mind. How consumed by music are you?
That's a good question because as far as like practicing every day, I would say I was homeschooled all the way through high school, and so I used to have a lot of time, and I used to practice a lot. And college is a different ball game, and I am like I work 2 jobs off campus and like am full time in school, so I struggle to get as much practice time now as I want. But I love the way that you framed that question because I spend like for instance, I'm playing with Sister Sadie. We're playing the Opry again on May 1st, and then we're going to Texas. Cool. And I now have to learn like all of their material from their album. I'm trying to learn all the solos off their album and everything, and I'm very limited on time. And so one thing, if you all are limited on time and you want to practice, just listen to music and listen to whatever it is that you want to do, because I listen to Sister Zadie's album just on repeat. I'm walking to class, I listen to their album. Everywhere I go, listen to their album. And when I was in Nashville this past time, they wanted to make a video of one of their songs that I hadn't learned yet, but I had listened to it so many times that I could play it, and I knew the arrangement in my head, and it was a simple like 1-4-5 bluegrass song. So you know, it might not have been so easy if it was something else, but I would say throughout the day, like I would say I'm consumed by music. Like I'm thinking about it a lot.
It's the question that way, and I tell all my students this. It's not just the time you have an instrument in your hand where you're doing a deliberate exercise, practice time period, but in your mind, you're learning and practicing by, you know, the wheel spinning in your mind. Even if you can't listen to music as much as possible, when you don't have access to music, let's create the music in your mind. How time is your brain wrapped around music? So that was a good answer, very good answer, because I am totally consumed by music. So even when I'm working and doing things non-related to music, housekeeping, even if I'm not listening to music, it's in my mind, and I'm composing and arranging and figuring stuff out. When I'm sleeping, sometimes I wake up at 3 a.m. because I'm dreaming, I'm composing something in my sleep, and then I run downstairs quietly and grab an instrument and record an idea, and then I go back to bed. But I'm just 24 hours a day, I'm consumed by music.
That's wow.
That's incredible. I've never composed anything in my sleep. That's next level. But I would say I do not even like try to mentally practice, but I'll find myself just going through stuff in my head that I'm not even aware of all the time. So it really does become like a part of you. I totally understand that.
Yeah. So don't want to keep you too long, but would love for you. Do you do? Well, it sounds like you don't have a whole lot of time, but do you take like Zoom or Skype? Do you teach online? Or?
I do. I'm kind of just getting into my teaching career. I have a couple Zoom students that I teach. I do like half an hour, or really I would do any length of time that somebody wanted.
Would you be up for if any of these folks wanted to get in touch for a lesson?
Absolutely.
How can they get in touch with you?
I have my email address. You want to share?
Put your email in the chat if that's okay.
Yes, that's.
Where is it?
Might be easier if I type it in, or I can. It's kind of long. I've regretted it ever since I made this email address.
Because I always like to encourage folks to take lessons with as many people as they can. That's
absolutely. That's good advice.
One way that Wyatt got so good is he was taken from like a dozen different people.
Yes. See, that's totally the way. But yeah, that's my that's my email address, and yeah, feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, I would love to have more students. I'm trying to kind of grow that part of my musical life too.
Yeah. So like, short term into the long term, where do you feel like you want to go with your music?
That's something that's very pertinent in my life right now, because I'll be graduating college in a year. And I'm open to I feel like it'll kind of present itself however I'm supposed to use my music. I would love, like I said, I love being a sideman, and I would love to just, at least for a little while, so I can get my learn the ropes of a full-time music career. I'd love to just be in somebody's band. That would be kind of ideal.
You said you're filling in for someone in Sister Sadie, is that right?
Yeah,
Who's the usual metal player there?
They don't have one right now, so I've been playing a bunch of shows with them. Tristan was, but and he still, I think, sits in for some shows, but ideally they would have a woman.
Sure.
So I think that's why they're having me play some shows, and I might end up playing with them for longer. So that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And then just I would love to have my own projects
any
too.
Any band would be lucky to have you, and I'd love to hear some of your songs sometime. And I'm sure you're you might have enough material for an album. So you think about putting together an album of your own songs and tunes?
I would really like to.
Yeah.
That's a really big goal for kind of my next big thing, because I feel like I'm ready, and I feel like I could have a while back, but I didn't really have the resources, and I think that it's something that I'd love to do now.
So when you think about what your connection is with music, and what might be, because everybody's connection is kind of special in a way, and some people might have more of an affinity with music, just as they might have more affinity with growing roses or whatever. What do you feel like, if you, and this can kind of be hard to put a finger on verbally, what do you feel like you like most about your individual creativity, and what do you feel like your facet is of the big universal music diamond, so to speak? We're getting a little esoteric here today. She's about to leave.
That's such a good question. Yeah, where do I feel like my sort of musical, where am I drawn, kind of, and
yeah, what's your favorite thing about your own creativity?
I think that, I think that it's always there for me, and it's kind of like a mandolin could get stolen, or something could, I could end up without a mandolin or without an instrument, but I think that kind of like you were saying, David, my music is kind of inside of me, and I think, and not just music, but maybe lyrics or poetry, or just my creativity. I think that it's almost like a friend, you know what I mean? It's kind of inside of me at all times, and it goes with me.
It's kind of comforting that way.
It is, and it can provide a lens through which to look at the world too, and so that things might be inspiring to me that someone else might overlook, or I just think it's sort of constant nature, and how it's a part of me. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like
it makes perfect sense. Perfect.
Good.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, like you said, that's something that can never be taken away from you. It's like it just comes from. I mean, I kind of look at it like it comes from a higher place and is a gift, and there's like grace that happens, and when that channel is open, it's just, and sometimes it'll ebb and flow, and sometimes you feel like you're hot and be like, oh, I can do this anytime, and sometimes it's like, where did it go? But it's all there. It always comes back. Yeah.
I love that. I also definitely. I sometimes I don't know where it came from, so I do think about like it feels like a gift that was kind of like just not that I have a gift per se that others don't, but just that like everyone was kind of gifted with the ability to like have some kind of creative outlet if they want to find one.
Yeah. Some people are like just, maybe they don't think they're so talented, but they can like tell stories like not even thinking about it. It's like some people that might be like really able to like play the banjo or like draw or paint. They can't tell a good story.
Yes.
The creativity can be in the mundane sometimes.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been a gift for you to stop by here today and visit with us, and hope y'all can get a hold of Rainey and maybe have a one-on-one lesson. Well, there you have it, neighbors. The old front porch jam. And we'll let Rainey hustle to her gig. But once again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great to meet you, too. Your plan is awesome. Thank you. Sounds so good.
Hope y'all can, connect maybe in the next couple of weeks or something.
Yes, I would love that.
And if we can ever do anything to help you, please let us know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me. And it was great to meet you all. Thank you so much for having me.
And how do you say your last name?
Miatke.
Miatke. That's kind of what I thought. Rainey Miatke. And check her out, on the videos, and maybe give her an email, and y'all can connect for a private lesson, because she's obviously got a lot of good stuff to share, many different directions, very articulate, and so much power in her right hand. She's pulling that tone out of that mandolin. She is not shy about it, and in a good way, and that was just a delightful thing to witness in person. She just blew me away. She's instantly one of my favorite mandolin players.
Me too. But it just flowed out of her so naturally.
Yeah, quite.
The illusion of the ray of light has gifted her.
Bye,
but we know it's hard work.
You too. Yeah, just amazing, and glad all this worked out. When the universe wants something to happen, it happens.